Good afternoon. In the previous classes, we have discussed a lot about different type of hazards associated with underground mining, coal mining. Starting from your mine explosion, fire, inundation, roof fall, side fall, other type of different hazards we have already discussed in the previous classes. So suppose fire has taken place in your minds, or explosion has taken place in your minds, or inundation has taken place in your minds. Some people are trapped inside the mine. So how to conduct a rescue? How to rescue people who are trapped inside the mine, and how to recover the mine after mine explosion. Today we are going to discuss some of the case studies and mine rescue rules as per the mine rescue rules 1985. So you have to rescue the people who are trapped inside the mine because of the explosion, because of the fire, because of the inundation, or any other rock bursts, coal bombs, or gas outbursts. So whatever type, whatever may be the reason, you have to rescue the people and you have to recover the mine after the explosion has taken place. So there are some case studies and how to rescue the people, how to recover the mine as per the mines rules, mines rescue rules 1985. Let us discuss today about how to conduct rescue and recovery after mine explosion with case studies and mine rescue rules 1985. So uh, to uh, conduct the rescue operation, to rescue the people, the rescue brigadiers are there, rescue station is there in every mine, or in a group of mines there is a rescue station, and the rescue trained people are there who will come to help you, just like your fire brigades, just like your fireman, fire brigade man. Similarly, the rescue man, the rescue trained people will come to rescue your mine, rescue the people who are trapped inside the mine. So today, therefore, we are going to discuss about how to conduct the rescue and how to recover the mine after an hazard, after an accident, after mine explosion, mine fire, or inundation which has taken place in your mines. So, uh, mine explosions are generally regarded as a serious and constant hazard in mining sector. In mining sector, this is about how to rescue the survivors. Some people are dead, some people are surviving after the explosion. So how to rescue the survivors and how to recover the dead bodies from a mine in which a disaster has occurred. So that is carried out by the rescue people, rescue trained people. There is a rescue station where the rescue trained people are available. They will come forward to help you to rescue the survivors and to recover the dead bodies from the mine in case of an explosion. Rescuing survivors is the most rewarding part of your job as a mine rescue team. So if somebody is dead, you have to recover the dead body. But the more important thing is that if somebody is trapped inside the mine and surviving and he is not dead, then rescuing the survivors is the most rewarding part of your job as a mine rescue team. So what is a rescue system and what is a recovery system? What is rescue system and what is recovery system? Rescue system uh, is to locate the survivors. If some people are trapped inside the mine, you have to locate them. And recovery is locating the dead area where people are dead. Rescue system is nothing but locating the survivors who are alive, who can get back their life. So that operation which is carried out is called a rescue operation. And the recovery system is, if some people are died inside the mine, you have to locate the dead body, and locating the dead area is also the job of the mine rescue team. Then in the rescue system, you are having opening refugee chambers and alternatives, injured survivors. You have to take the injured survivors. If somebody is injured because of the accident, so that man should be taken to the refugee chambers. And after that, you have to bring the survivors out of the mine, bringing the survivors out of the mine. So rescue system consists of locating the survivors, opening refugee chambers and alternatives. Injured who are survived are to be brought back to the surface, out of the mine, out of the danger area. And what is recovery system? Recovery system is locating the dead area, condition of the bodies of the dead people, handling surviving families, and handing over the dead bodies to the surviving families. So this is the difference between rescue and recovery. What is rescue? What is recovery is being explained in this table. Rescue is for people who are alive, who are the survivors, who can get back their life. And recovery is dead body recovery. So how to locate the survivors? The rescue operation primary job is to locate the survivors who are trapped inside the mine. While entering into a mine for rescuing purpose, survivors may be found in open passageways, perhaps along the escape routes, injured and unable to walk out of the mine. It is important to both look and searching for the survivors. When you are going to search the people who are alive because of the accident, after the accident, you have to locate them. Miners who barricade themselves into an area will usually try to leave indications of where barricaded to aid to both look and listen for clues while searching for the survivors inside the mine. Miners who barricade themselves into an area will usually try to leave indications of where they are barricaded to aid rescuers in finding them. In some instances, the rescue teams may find trace footprints indicating the direction of survivors had taken. When, uh, when listening for clues, one should be on the alert for any noise, such as voices or pounding on rails or pipes. When survivors are located, either their location, identity, and condition should be reported immediately to the command center. The command center can then send in a backup team with any equipment that may be needed, such as the stretchers or breathing apparatus. Then opening refugee chambers. This is a refugee chamber. Refugee alternatives are barricades where people will be taken and they will be given first aid. If a refugee chamber, refugee alternative, refugee chamber or barricade is located, try to determine minors inside are still alive and conscious. Verbal communication or noises should be created so that those inside can respond. If there is no response, do not assume the minors are dead. They could be unconscious. If there is a response, try to find out how many minors are inside and what is their condition. Then you will have a better idea of what medical supplies you may need when you reach them. Ask if they have used their self-rescuers and how long they have been inside the chambers, refugee chambers. And this is the refugee chamber. The safest procedure for getting survivors out is usually to advance fresh air to the barricade by the quickest means possible. Once the fresh air is advanced, the barricade can be opened. Sometimes, however, it may be necessary to rescue the survivors before fresh air can be advanced to them. For instance, fresh air cannot be advanced to the survivors if a fire is spreading and moving in their direction. In these cases, an airlock should be established outside the refugee chamber or barricade before it is opened. And if there are some injured survivors are there, then what is to be done? After the survivors have been found in the mine, the next step is to get them to safety and fresh air as quickly as possible. In some cases, survivors may need emergency first aid treatment before they can be transported. It is of two types, triage system and psychological factors. When several survivors suffering from physical or psychological trauma have been located, the accurate sorting of priority victims may mean the difference between life and death. This sorting of victims is commonly referred to as a triage system. Survivors can be categorized into three priority groups according to their condition or injuries. One thing to remember when dealing with any injury is to stay as calm as possible. Sometimes, when faced with a gruesome or unnerving sight, The best thing to do is to take a deep breath and continue to breathe fully and deeply until the job is finished. Severe bleeding, if it is there, that is to be checked. Deep shock, if the person is undergoing deep shock, if the person is unconsciousness, whether he second degree burns covering more than 30% of the body or not, third degree burns covering more than 10% of the body or involving the hands, the feet, or the face. Inhalation of poisonous gases like carbon monoxide, dismemberment, chest injuries, severe head injuries. This is the first priority. The first priority in the triage system is airway or breathing problems to be checked, severe bleeding is to be checked, deep shock is to be checked, unconsciousness to be checked, second degree burns covering more than 30% of the body is to be checked, third degree burns covering more than 10% of the body are involving the hands, the feet, and the face is to be checked. Inhalation of poisonous gases like carbon monoxide, dismemberment, chest injuries if anything is there, severe head injuries if anything is there. This is the first priority in the triage system. The second priority in the triage system is multiple lacerations, multiple fractures, second degree burns involving 15 to 30% of the body, third degree burns covering less than 10% of the body, including the hands, feet, or face, uh, moderate shock, moderate heat exhaustion, back injuries with or without spinal injuries. This is the second priority for triage system. The third priority for the triage system is mild hysteria, abrasions, minor bleeding, body, third degree burns involving less than 2% of the body, fractured while heat exhaustion, obviously dead. So these are the three priority stages in the triage. Importantly, the communication must be survivors are showing signs of hysteria or not. They should never be left alone. You should make every effort to assure them that they will be helped. Survivors should never be allowed to walk out on their own, even if they appear to be in good shape. They will need your assistance and support in leaving the mine. You may even need to restrain a person to prevent them from bolting into fresh air as it is neared. These are psychological factors you have to take care. Then bringing the survivors out of the mine. Bringing the survivors out of the mine. If the survivors are found in contaminated or questionable air, they will need to be given breathing protection if they are to be transported to fresh air. If a survivor is able to walk, he or she should be positioned between two rescue team members and guided out to fresh air base. If the person is unable to walk, a stretcher will have to be used to bring that person out of the mine. Then we have discussed now what is rescue. Then what is recovery? What is recovery? Recovery is locating the dead body area where people are dead. When a team locates a body, the usual procedure is to report the location to the command center. You should also mark the body's location and position on the mine map and on the roof or rib close to the body. It is suggested that a team member outline the body with chalk or paint on the floor, or at least mark where the head and feet are. When a dead body is first located, every effort should be made not to disturb any possible evidence in the area. Evidence will be important later in ensuing investigations. Usually, the first team that discovers a body is not the team that actually does the body recovery work. The recovery of bodies may wait until fresh air is advanced, or it may be decided to bring the bodies out immediately. Either way, a fresh team will probably be sent in to handle the work. Then you have to examine the condition of the bodies. In the recovery stage, you have to examine the condition of the dead bodies. There are very unpleasant things that the team may have to deal with. Some team members will probably be better able to cope with recovering dead bodies than others. Rescue workers, especially those recovering bodies for the first time, may very well begin to feel sick or apprehensive. The best advice for them is to try to work with a business-like and professional attitude. And professional attitude. Most of your reactions, most of your reactions to the situation will be from your senses of sight, whatever you see and whatever you smell. Then third part is handling the dead bodies. How to handle the dead bodies if some people are dead inside the mine because of the accident. Normally, when dead bodies are brought out of a mine, they are placed in rubber body bags and brought out on stretchers. If body bags are not, can be wrapped in Brady's cloth or canvas cloth. When dealing with dead bodies that have been underground a while, you should be sure to wear rubber gloves. Also, the bodies should be sprayed well in advance with a disinfectant before you touch or handle them. This is the procedure of handling the dead bodies. There are some case studies undertaken in Monongahela mine explosion in West Virginia mines. On Friday, December 6, an explosion occurred that killed most of the men inside the mine instantly and has been described as the worst mining disaster in American history. The first volunteer rescuers entered the two mines 25 minutes after the initial explosion. The biggest threats to rescuers are the various fumes, gases, particularly black damp, a mix of carbon dioxide and nitrogen that contains no oxygen, and white damp, which is carbon monoxide. The lack of breathing apparatus at the mine at the time made venturing into these areas impossible. Rescuers could only stay in the mine These are some case studies. Case studies carried out in Monongah mine explosion in West Virginia in United States of America. On Friday, December 6, 1907, at about 10:20 a.m., 28 a.m., an explosion occurred that killed most of the men inside the mine instantly, immediately, and has been described as the worst mining disaster in the American history. The first volunteer rescuers entered to the mine 25 minutes after the initial explosion. The biggest threats to rescuers are the various fumes, gases, particularly the black dam, a mixture of carbon dioxide and nitrogen that contains no oxygen, and white dam, which is carbon monoxide. The lack of breathing apparatus at the time made venturing into these areas impossible. Rescuers could only stay in the mine for 15 minutes at a time. In a vain effort, to protect themselves, some of the miners tried to cover their faces with jackets or other pieces of cloth. While this may filter out particulate matter, it would not protect the miners in an oxygen-free environment. The toxic fume problems were compounded by structural damage caused by the initial explosion. Mines require large ventilation fans to prevent toxic gas buildup, and the explosion at Monongah had destroyed all of the ventilation equipment. The inability to clear the mine of the gases transformed the rescue effort into a recovery effort. One Polish miner was rescued and 4 Italian miners escaped. The official death toll stood at 362. In the explosion, 362 people are dead in Monongah mines in West Virginia, United States of America. Then another mine in West Virginia in United States of America, which is called a Sago mine explosion. Sago mine explosion. The explosion occurred at approximately 6:30 a.m. at the beginning of the first shift after the mine reopened after the New Year's holiday weekend. 5 4-man teams tried to make their way through the entries, and they had reached 10,200 feet into the mine. It was believed that the trout miners were somewhere between 11,000 to 30,000 feet from the entrance. Two 6.25 inches holes were drilled from the surface into areas where the miners were believed to be. Microphones and video cameras lowered into them for 10-minute periods did not find any signs of life. Air quality tests performed through the first hole indicated that carbon monoxide levels in that part of the mine were at 1300 parts per million. Officials call this very discouraging. A third hole encountered groundwater and could not be drilled all the way down. Experts expected that a third hole, if successful, could expand the opening and provide a better way of rescuing the miners than proceeding into the mine. The first hint of the miners' status came around 5 p.m. on January 3rd, when it was reported that a body had been found. In the early morning of February 4, 14 hours after the incident began, 41 hours after the incident began, 12 of the miners were found dead. The remaining miners were found at the working phase of the second left portion of the mine, some 2.5 miles from the mine entrance, behind a rough barricade structure. So, how to rescue the people who are trapped inside the mine is being explained in the Mine Rescue Rules 1985. So the Mines Rescue Rules have been framed under the Mines Act 1952, keeping in mind the occurrence of emergencies in the mines, particularly in below-ground mines due to explosion, fires, and inundation. Mines Rescue Rules framed Act 1952 provide for setting up of rescue stations, rescue rooms, appointment of superintendent of the rescue station, instructors for the rescue station, rescue personnel, rescue room in charge, etc. specifies the duties and responsibilities of these persons. Contains provisions on maintenance of equipment in mines, conduct of rescue work, etc. is being written in the Mines Rescue Rule 1985. There are some relevant provisions of the Mines Rescue Rules 1985, like 1.1 Application. Section 1 is application. Rules apply to below ground mines. Number 2 is definition. Section 2. Below ground mine means any excavation which extends below superjacent ground. Chief Inspector means the Chief Inspector of the Mines appointed under Section 5 of the Mines Act. Principal official means the chief discipline on duty in the mine. Rescue room means a rescue room is established and maintained by the mines authority. Rescue trained personnel means a person certified by the superintendent of the rescue station to be rescue trained person. What is the establishment and location of the rescue station? In section 3, it is described in the Mines Rescue Rules 1985 in section 3. It is described about the establishment and location of the rescue station. The chief inspector of the mines may permit the owner of a below ground mine or a group of below ground mines to establish and maintain rescue stations or rescue station. At every rescue station, there shall be appointed one superintendent of the rescue station and at least two instructors should be there also in the rescue station. There shall be maintained a rescue brigade of not less than 18 rescue trained persons. So in a rescue station, there will be one rescue superintendent and there will be two instructors in the rescue station, and there should be at least 18 rescue brigaders who are trained in carrying out the rescue operation. Functions of rescue stations include imparting initial training in rescue and recovery work, imparting refresher training to rescue trained persons, providing support by its own rescue teams and equipment in case of major accidents or long-lasting rescue and recovery operations. Carrying out the functions of the rescue room in respect of these below-ground mines where there is no rescue room. Then, as per Section 5 of the Mines Rescue Rule 1985, how to establish the rescue rooms, establishment and location of the rescue rooms at below ground mine where more than 100 persons are ordinarily employed below ground and there is no rescue station within its radius of 35 kilometers, the owner of the mine shall establish and maintain on surface close to mine entrance a rescue room. It may be sufficient to provide one rescue room for a number of mines belonging to the same owner, where the total number of persons ordinarily employed in below ground working of all such mines does not exceed 5,000 and the mines are situated at a radius of 35 kilometers. Functions of the rescue room, Section 6. As per Section 6 of the Mines Rescue Rule 1985, what are the functions of the rescue room? A rescue room shall provide facilities for the storage, assembly, testing, and adjustments of breathing apparatus and other rescue equipment and apparatus, and for their speedy transport to the mines. Duty rescue superintendent. The superintendent, rescue superintendent, shall be in overall control of the rescue station and the rescue rooms served by such rescue station. The superintendent shall ensure that all the rescue equipment and apparatus kept at the rescue station, rescue rooms, and at the entrance of the below ground mines under his control are maintained in perfect working order, inspected by inspectors at specified intervals, and tests are conducted and adjustments are made. Superintendent shall ensure that adequate stock of spare parts and supplies are kept for maintaining rescue equipment and apparatus in perfect working order. Thus, the rescue superintendent shall submit to the chief inspector of the mines and to the regional inspector of the mines detailed report on the functioning of the rescue station and rescue routes under his control in the preceding year on or before the 20th day of February of the succeeding year. As per Section 13 of the Mine Rescue Rule 1985, the duties of the instructors are the following. The duties of the instructors are to impart course of instructions and practices to persons selected for training in rescue and recovery work, as well as to rescue trained persons and maintain a record thereof, make inspection, test, and adjustment of rescue equipment and apparatus, and maintain a record thereof. Instructors shall not leave the rescue station without prior permission of the superintendent. In the absence of the rescue superintendent, the instructor shall be in charge of the rescue station. Similarly, in Section 14, of the Mines Rescue Rule 1985, the duties and responsibilities of the rescue room in charge is specified. The duties of the rescue room in charge is to display prominently a list of mines served by his rescue room, maintain the equipment and apparatus kept at the rescue room in perfect order, not allow any unauthorized person to enter into or permit any authorized person to take out any apparatus or equipment from the rescue room. Then as per section 15 of the Mines Rescue Rule 1985, the duties of the rescue trained persons posted at the rescue stations are defined. They have to obey order of the rescue superintendent and instructor and assist them in discharge of their functions. They have to attend messages, telephone calls, and wireless and maintain record thereof. They have to maintain the equipment and apparatus kept at the rescue station in perfect order. They should not leave rescue station without obtaining permission from the rescue superintendent. Similarly, in section 16 of the Mines Rescue Rule 1985, the duties of the rescue room attendant is specified. He should not leave the rescue room until relieved by a substitute. He should not allow any authorized person to enter in or to take out any apparatus or equipment from the rescue room. He has to attend to telephone calls and maintain a record for that. He has to obey orders of the rescue room in charge and assist him in discharge of his functions. Then as per section 19 of the Mines Rescue Rule, appointment of rescue trained persons in the mines, their disposition and accommodation. The manager of the mine shall ensure that at least 5 rescue trained persons are readily available at the surface of the mine. It shall be the responsibility of the owner of the mine to provide suitable accommodation to such people. They should remain close to the rescue station, to the superintendent, instructors, and members of rescue brigade. They should be very close to rescue room in charge, rescue trained persons, and attendants attached to it. Similarly, in section 24 of the Mines Rescue Rule 1985, the duties of the manager in emergency is defined. The manager has to inform the owner of the mine, agent of the mine, or manager of a nearby mine to make available the services of rescue trained persons employed therein if so required. He has to inform the rescue station about the nature of the occurrence, stating whether assistance would be needed from the rescue station or not. He has to summon medical assistance and send information of the occurrence to the regional inspector of the mines. As per section 26 of the Mines Rescue Rules 1985, entry into below ground mines for rescue or recovery work is to be carried out as per the following procedure. No person shall be allowed to enter a below ground mine or part thereof which is unsafe for the purpose of engaging in rescue or recovery work unless authorized by the manager or in his absence by the principal official of the mine present at the surface. Only rescue trained persons shall be permitted to enter the mine for the purpose of using self-contained breathing apparatus. Then as per section 32 of the Mines Rescue Rules 1985, rescue team members and their duties are defined. The number of persons in any rescue team using breathing apparatus in a mine shall not be less than 5, not more than 6, including the leader. Members of rescue team shall in general use the signals for communicating to one another. In traveling with rescue apparatus on, every member of the team shall keep the place given to him when numbering up. If the pace is too quick or if distress is felt, the member shall at once call attention to the fact. Finally, Section 34 of the Mines Rescue Rules 1985 states the obligation of the mine owner, mine agent, mine manager in certain situations. Whenever emergency arises at a below ground mine, whether served by a rescue room or rescue station or not, the owner of the mine, agent of the mine, or manager of the mine may seek assistance or additional assistance, as the case may be, from the nearest rescue room or rescue station, and in such an event, all possible assistance shall be promptly rendered by the rescue room or rescue station, and the owner of the mine shall pay to the owner of the rescue station or rescue room rendering such assistance. So this is all about today's class. Today we have discussed about mine rescue and recovery, and at the same time we have also discussed about Mines Rescue Rules 1985 with respect to rescue and recovery work. Thank you. Have a good day.